Leo. What's good, my brother?
What's up, my man?
How you doing? What's going on, guys? CEO Kowsey here. Today I'm at Leo's and Exotics in Houston, Texas with the man, the myth, the legend, PJ, founder and CEO. What's going on, my brother?
How's it going, my man?
Dude, congratulations on all of this, man. I'm so excited to be here and to share your journey with the audience.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to sharing, my man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. How does it feel like to have now over 100 cars on the fleet?
It feels good, you know, especially you always want to be thankful and grateful for where you are currently, but the journey just begins, and we have a lot of homework and a long way to go, but it's an absolute blessing to literally, you know, not be a part of Houston. I'm not from Houston, to come here and start with 0 cars. And you know, I remember I was Ubering around everywhere when I came to this city. To have the fleet I have today, it's a blessing. So, and it's absolutely exciting.
That's amazing, man. And you're not just in Houston, but you have partnerships in other places too, right?
Yeah. So our home base is Houston because I'm obviously here. So we have the biggest fleet here.
Yeah.
But I built relationships and I have partnerships in different cities. We're actually also working on a mobile app that will be able to let people book cars anywhere in America.
Love it. Cut out the middleman, streamline operations.
Exactly.
That's amazing, man. Oh, wow. Dude, the energy is real here, man. I love this beautiful warehouse. Like,
it
feels like we're in a private jet hangar, except we got all these beautiful exotics. So, you want to show us what we got here, man?
Yeah, so this is obviously, come on, I'll show you guys, but this is some of the fleet. We have, like I said, over 100 cars. A lot of the cars are booked out right now.
That's awesome.
A couple of Lambos are at my house right now, but
nice.
Let's see what we have here. Obviously, right here, you guys can see the 2023, 2024 Corvettes. These guys rent like candy. People love these Corvettes. So we have like 7, 8 of them.
Wow.
They rent pretty well because, I mean, Corvette really did good with these cars. Aerodynamics looks amazing. Some people didn't think it's a Lamborghini. You know, they don't know cars, but they look great, drive great. Technology is amazing.
That's awesome.
People love it.
That's awesome.
You guys obviously know, classic is the i8. Some people don't respect him, but i8 always has respect for me because it was my first car in the rental business.
I think I remember seeing something in your story.
Yeah, so I bought it for myself originally, and I was like, man, I love an i8. And at that time, you're starting off and you want affordable exotic car. The doors go up, and it's still pretty decently fast for a 3-cylinder. So, you know, they do amazing. I have 4 of these, and people love them, and it's pretty affordable to buy, and at the same time it doesn't depreciate because it holds value, and because they're not making a bunch of them, they stopped producing them.
They did, right?
So they just hold value.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because have you ever seen an i8 for 30 grand, 40 grand? Not really.
No.
Because they hold their value. 2015s, 2014s, they're all still holding their values pretty well.
That's awesome, and they rent well too.
They rent amazing. I have it in different colors. We have a red one, yellow one. We also have the purple blue one, which is the OG, my first car.
Dope.
And then a gray one as well.
That's amazing, man. Wow, I love that.
Obviously, right here, you guys have the Lamborghini Uruses. People obviously love them because it's a Lamborghini, and the fact that it's an SUV. People can go out with groups and go partying, have girls in the back. You know. With coupe, you can only take one girl, man. You know, you want to be able to pack them.
You got options, man.
But it's also great for family if you guys want to go out and you know, have a good time. Uruses do really well. But we have many different, you know, exotics. A lot of them are not here. We have Ferraris. We have like 4 G-Wagons. G-Wagons are classic cars.
Oh yeah.
You guys already know, like, we have a G63 AMG right here as well. This one has starlights in the headliner.
Wow.
We did a conversion on this one as well. So people love the G-Wagons because they make a statement, and, you know, it's not too cheap. They're still, you know, even the older ones, 2014, 2015, still go for 75, 85 grand. But they hold their value as well.
They do.
Because, I mean, I've never seen a G-Wagon anything under 50 grand.
No.
So you could buy one, the older ones, 2013, 2014, for cheaper, and they still hold value. It's one of my favorite cars to rent and on the fleet.
That's amazing.
We have a few different Rolls Royces. This is the Rolls Royce Ghost. We wrapped it satin matte black.
It's clean.
To give it a stealth look, and then we have a frozen stealth matte white one as well. So that way people can use it for weddings. And this one people use for everything. Weddings, and the opposite, they use it for funerals, they use it for meetings, the whole 9 yards.
100%, especially in a place like Houston, right? Or I feel like it's a very like stunting forward culture. Everyone likes to look good. They like to buy clothes, have nice cars. So
right. And the other thing is, I wanted to make it where everybody can rent cars. Because if you call most exotic car rental companies, they have the latest one, 2024, and only certain people can rent it. It's $1,500 a day, $2,000 a day. My business model played with it a little bit in numbers because I was able to get a little older cars and cater to the masses.
Yeah,
so now
I love that.
Anybody can come pick up a car, and $400, $500, $600. They get to enjoy these cars, and that was one of the biggest goals for me.
Huge.
Is hit the masses, because everybody deserves to be in one of these. And a lot of people come in here and they're like, hey man, manifestation, I want to rent one because one day I want to own one.
100%.
And now they can.
100%. I mean, I'm thinking about grabbing an exotic just by being here, man. So hopefully you can help me out with that.
Absolutely.
But that's awesome, man. Well, let's dive into it. I'm excited to hear about the story, the journey, your true definition of a mogul. So let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
What is up, guys? CEO Kowser here. Beige Moguls podcast with a very special friend, PJ, founder and CEO of Leo's and Exotics, the #1 exotic car rental business in Houston and soon, God willing, nationwide. Man, this guy's a legend. Over 100 plus cars on his fleet. Started from just one car. Here we are now in his mega warehouse. What's going on, bro?
What's up, my man? Thank you for having me on the podcast, man, and seeing you do great things, and seeing you guys go nationwide, and it's pretty sick to see all your content. It's pretty awesome, and excited to be part of it and hopefully make a difference for somebody.
Appreciate it, man. That's the goal, on the Moguls podcast, we talk to all these different moguls.
Yeah.
New York, Houston, LA, all over the country. And we talk about one main thing about what it takes to be the mogul that they are. So excited to have you on the pod, man. Thanks for hopping on.
It's absolutely an honor, man.
Yeah, for sure. So for those that don't know, why don't you, in your own words, tell us what Leo's and Exotics is?
Leo's and Exotics started as a hobby, right? I was working full-time as a software engineer, and I wanted to, drive fun exotic cars. So it was always been around cars, and, as a software engineer, I was like, hey, I'm making good money. Let me buy my first car. So my first car was a BMW i8.
Wow.
So it's fun to have a BMW i8. Everywhere we go, people are like, oh, that's so sick. The doors go up. And again, for me, I'm like, oh man, this is getting a lot of attention. And then I start getting questions like, hey man, let me use it for a date night. Let me use it for this and that. And I'm like, you know what? Let the car pay for itself.
Yep.
So then I started picking out one car at a time. And that's just how Leo's and started. It started as something, passion for fun, hobby, to say, you know what? I'm going to quit my full-time job as a software engineer building mobile apps to go full-time with my business.
Wow. What a interesting and authentic starting point for you.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember one day, I was in my bed, and my wife remembers too. So you know what? I'm gonna come up with a name. And the funny part is my dog's name is Leo, and a lot of people think you name your business after your dog. But it was the meaning of Leo that always stayed by me. Is in business in general, most people, you can't stand down. You have to be fierce. You have to take you got to take challenges, and you got to be calm when you have to be calm. And that's where the word Leo came from. And Zen, you know what I mean? You're in your Zen. So your place. So that's where Leo's Zen, that's how it originated.
I love that.
Came up with it one night, and I said, you know what? I'm going to create an Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Go on Instagram, create a new handle. Leo's and Exotics. No photos, nothing. Random night. It wasn't a plan. I didn't have branding, content. I didn't have a whole team, nothing. It was just a random thing.
You just started,
and I said, you know what? I started something. Let me make it bigger, and I just grew it and grew it and grew it to where we are today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that is so inspirational. I feel like a lot of people, they get caught up with the business plan, with the SBA loan, with asking friends and family for money. But it's like, dude, just start with what you got.
Yep.
And go for it. And that's what you did.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, thing is, I already had good credit, and I was also already a software engineer. So it wasn't like I was a millionaire making millions of dollars. Software engineer would make 100, 150 grand a year.
Right.
But I also was trading and doing other things.
Yeah.
And always staying busy and being entrepreneurial. And so for me, it was like, when I get these cars, I'm like, man, it's a lot of money on all these cars.
Yeah.
Always thinking business, and so let them pay for itself.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where the idea originated.
100%. That's dope, man. So that's very similar to how I started my company, Beige, right? So I wanted to do a music video, and I couldn't really afford to hire a production company in LA or anything, So one of my homies had a camera. He was like, man, I'll shoot the video for you. So we actually went to an exotic car rental spot, funny enough, in Venice, in LA. And we rented out this Huracan Spider.
Okay.
I'm not sure if
I think I've seen the video.
You've probably seen the video. And ironically enough, that's the same Huracan that Nipsey Hussle had.
Wow.
On one of his final music videos. And like, I was just an 18-year-old kid, but dude, I had no intention of starting this mega nationwide media company. But that's the beauty of, I think, both of our businesses. It was just driven on pure passion.
Absolutely.
And people started noticing that, right? And people started hitting you up, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey,
and if you're passionate about it, it doesn't feel like work. You every day you can wake up and like, what am I going to conquer today? How am I going to get this bigger? How do I get this to more audience? And for you to be as big as you are today, it's truly passion and hard work, nothing else.
100%.
A lot of people think, man, you know, it got handed over to him. There was an existing company. No, you built it from scratch, just like me. Like I said, I had 0 cars, and it just came into existence.
Yeah, and it's not like we had people in the industry that paved the lane for us. We have to pave the whole
and
like.
Both our industries are so niche.
100%.
How many people do you know that just come up with their own app and start a global wide, you know, I relate your app to Pokemon Go. It almost seems like that. It's
man,
that's why it's gonna go viral, you know.
Thank you, man.
The crazy part is obviously I build apps, and I built an app for my project while I was in college, and the app is basically very similar to yours, combined with Pokemon Go kind of thing. Because for me, I traveled a lot at the time. So every time I traveled, I'd go to a new place. As much as I love traveling by myself, I'd be kind of lost. So I'm like, man, what if I created live events based on geolocation and time, and people can see you, and it's like Pokemon Go. You go there, and people are like, hey, I'm about to go play soccer. Who wants to join? Or if there's some event like this podcast and somebody wants to watch or somebody wants to join, be part of it, they could just click it, and then it expires right after the time.
Wow.
So again, NDA, all that is being done. The app is already there, but we have to take it to production.
I love that, man.
So it's very similar to yours versus for media.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like using technology to build community, you know, it's like such a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we probably connected through Instagram, I think it was, you know, so just to see even like the year plus that I've been following you, to see where you started and like even how far you've come in just a year, man. Like, you know.
A year goes a long way. A lot of people are watching this, man. I mean, I've been part of this business. I built this business. I've only been in it for 2.5 years right now. I established my LLC November of 2021.
Wow.
So right now it's not even November at 2024. So it's not even been 3 years. So a year will do a lot. So wherever you're at, go all in and you know, take it to the next level, because a lot of people so focused on comparing, you know, their chapter 1 to someone's chapter 5. You can't do that. First of all, comparing is not going to get you bigger. You can help it motivate you. You can help it give you a vision to keep pushing and get bigger. But if you're going to always compare to somebody, you're going to stop yourself from growing.
100%. 100%. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, because when we're looking at social media, it's always like, wow, what is this person doing? Or what is this person? What car, how many cars does he have? You know? Oh, but this guy got the Bugatti. You know, it's just like, and you're never going to feel fulfilled on the constant pursuit of
That's a great point. Yeah, you're never going to if you're never happy with what you have today and what you've accomplished today, you will never be happy. Like, I have friends that I go hang out with, and they have $1.5 million McLaren Sennas and Bugattis and Aventadors, SVJs, and all sorts of stuff. You know, we're not comparing. You know, if I sit there and compare, and then I'll be beating up on my McLaren and my Huracans and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So it's not about that. You know, it's about growing. It's about being a better version of you than you were last year. In fact, yesterday or last month, right?
100%.
So for me, my goal is always myself. My competition's always myself. So what I do the first year, what's my revenue? How many cars did I have? How many cities am I in? Next year. Take it, grow it, and keep growing.
Keep growing,
you know?
100%.
And because I focused on myself, I'm here because there's a lot of big people in the city, and they're all my partners. I all have very good relationship with all the other companies, exotic car rental companies in Houston, and some of them, I mean, it's ancestral money, man. They got a lot of money.
Yeah.
I will never compete with them. In fact, I work with them. I push out their cars, and we're all one team.
Yeah.
But I just focused on me. I'm not competing with anybody. I have my own cars. I want to make my own money and stay in my own lane. As long as I focus on that, the rest of it's just background noise.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. I love that, man. I love that. So take us back to the start, man. I mean, you started, literally less than 3 years ago. Now you got 100 plus cars on the fleet. So you started with just the I-8, but I'm sure there was other things going on in your life that fueled this passion.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for the start, and I think it's important for people to know is I'm not from America, first of all, right? I'm from India, born and raised there. I came here when I was 11. So
Wow.
a lot of people here are born here and raised here. So their parents have made a bunch of money and their parents are millionaires. And then the kids are like, hey, let me start something. And they help use their parents' money and start something. So, but for me, it wasn't the case, right? We came from India. My mom, she was barely making it. And I still remember, in school, like, and there's a poor line and then there's a rich line, even in the cafeteria, man. I couldn't even afford the poor line. Like I packed my own lunches from home and I got made fun of because Indian food smelled, and hey, everything motivates you, everything grows you, right?
100%.
So that was my start. That was my beginning, is coming from a third world country and having nothing and people looking at you and making fun of you and looking at all your friends. Like I went to Plano West, which is top 1% in America, one of the richest schools there.
Oh, wow.
And I had friends come in to school with $100,000 cars.
Wow.
Parents are rich. I mean, that's what they were used to. And they're not going to come in an old beat up Camry. And that's the stuff I would see, but I couldn't afford any of that. So growing up to that, it's I want to accomplish. I want to make something happen. So the fire inside you is very hard. And I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to this, because now, I mean, America, you got people coming from all over the world, and you guys are coming in with absolutely nothing, which means you guys will be here guaranteed if you put in the work, or better. And that's a true testament. And a lot of people say, hey, I start from nothing, this and that. Obviously I don't have a made up story where I tell you that I was homeless, I was sleeping on the street. None of that BS. True honesty. My mom brought me into this country as a software engineer, and we were a student. We, made it happen one day at a time. And even at 14 years old, I was working, installing sprinklers, digging up holes in the summer to install sprinklers, mowing lawns, doing flooring with my best friend, Angel Martinez, and we were doing construction. So just to put it in perspective, and then we had a restaurant. I used to work as a dishwasher, then I ended up becoming a head chef of my restaurant.
What?
Indian restaurant in Plano called Rice and Roti.
What?
I had it for over 10 years, and so I was a head chef there. And this is still young, 15, 16 years old, and I was still in college. I would go to college in the morning, in between my schedules, I'd go work, and then in between I would go to college. I'd get off at 10 o'clock, and then I'd go home, finish my assignments, then back in the morning at college at 7 a.m. so I could go cook at 11. So
Wow.
I did that. And on the weekends, I was valeting cars in Uptown. I still remember Street, Henderson, Knox Henderson. If you guys are in Dallas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because it's Party Street. It's like going to Washington in Houston, right?
Okay.
So on Henderson, I valeted all those restaurants and bars. And, so that was my start. Is every time I got a chance, I would hustle, I'd make money. And a lot of people hate on jobs, but jobs at that time take you to the next step. But what you do with that money, that's where you are going to step aside and step above from someone else. And so those little jobs added up, and I took all that money and I invested. I started my first company, which was buying and selling motorcycles. So that's again when I was young, 17 years old.
17.
Yep.
While being a head chef, while going to school.
Yep.
That's crazy, man.
And all of this, the crazy part is it's on my Facebook. If you go back into my old Facebook posts, I would post. Oh, before I did that, I used to flip iPhones. I was a nerd, so I found this software in China that would unlock SIMs. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. So you could use it overseas. So at the time, Sprint or Verizon, you could not use it,
I remember.
So then I would put the fake SIM trace in there, program it, where you can use it anywhere. It's called unlocking, and then you can use it anywhere nationwide. Then I'd sell those phones in India and overseas. I'd buy it for $100, program it, put the chip in, $150 in, I'd sell for $400, $500.
Wow.
And it was selling like candy. So, I mean, that's how it started. Did so many things. and then invested, then started the motorcycles. So every time you invest, you're growing it, you're growing your investments and bigger, and now we're here. So you make more money, then you grow it into real estate, and that's how you grow, you know?
Yeah.
So for all the people out there that are starting from nothing, don't have fear. You guys are in perfect place. Just don't stop, you know, keep going.
I love that, man. Wow, that's inspirational. We have a very similar path, man. That's crazy. I used to flip iPhones when I was a teenager. I met a guy that actually distributed them throughout Europe. So I would go on Facebook Marketplace. I think it wasn't even called Marketplace. It was just like Facebook at the time. You know, Facebook buy and sell.
Marketplace.
Craigslist. I would buy all these phones.
Craigslist was
and then I would ship them out. Yeah, right. This was even like, right around when OfferUp first started. And then ship them out to Europe, 5-10 phones at a time, until one time I got scammed. I think some guy sold me like a fake Samsung phone.
Yeah.
And that had me depressed. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
And then similar to you, I used to work at my parents' Indian restaurant too when we first started in LA.
That's what's up.
And so I literally just the other day, I was looking at an old video. Just yesterday, I was looking at a video of me like chefing up some butter chicken.
Nice.
And like, you know, like I was smiling to the camera, looking so happy and enthusiastic when I could see the struggle. You know, I could see that I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And I wasn't comfortable in that position.
100%.
You know? And I'm sure you did too. So that's amazing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember when we were working at the restaurant. We lived in a really poor area in Dallas.
Yeah.
It was called McCallum, and I still remember like there was gunshots all the time, people dying on the street. I mean, there was so much going on, and that's where I grew up to. And I still remember we didn't have a car at the time, so we used public transportation. So I am best friends with Dart because I've used Dart bus plenty of years of my life.
Wow.
And crazy part, at some points we would try to save the money so we don't spend $2 on the Dart bus. So we'd walk to the Walmart grocery store. I still remember walking in those back alleys to bring the groceries from there to the apartment with my mom to help her. And the Walmart flimsy bags would be carrying groceries, and they'd tear and they'd fall, and we're picking it all up and walking. I mean, those are the struggles. Those are the days that are in the back of my head that I remember that I definitely don't want for my kids. And at the same time, it's very important that that's what defined me and turned me into who I am. Is you come from nothing, and you get beat up and you get punched, you get, you know, sometimes you get knocked out, but you got to get back up and you got to keep going. And I've been knocked out more times than ever. Most successful people will all talk about their successes, but I've failed, and it's those failures that led me to the success. You know, most people don't highlight the failures. I have to thank my failures for putting me here. You know, the mistakes I made selling phones, the mistakes I made selling motorcycles. I mean, I had a story in a motorcycle where I went to meet the guy, and it was at nighttime. I thought it was cool, and he's like, hey man, I want to be safe. I don't know who you are. This is him telling me. So I'm thinking this is a good guy. He's like, I want to meet at Walmart so it's safe. And I'm like, that makes sense. I met him at Walmart, and he says, hey, I want to test drive the bike. You know, obviously if you're buying and selling bikes, you know the rule, cash on hand if you want to test drive the bike. And the guy goes, bro, it's freaking 9:30 at night. I'm not going to be able to go to a bank right now and grab the cash, but I just want to test drive it. Here's my Harley Davidson. I'm going to run it. Here's the keys. I'm just going to test drive it and come back to see if it's good. Then I'm going to buy it the first thing tomorrow. I'm like, hey, this guy's leaving a Harley Davidson that's way more expensive than my bike. Sounds good, man. Do it. Go for it. I'm sitting on the Harley taking photos. The crazy part is I still have the photos in front of the Harley.
Oh,
this aired on NBC News.
You got to send it to me.
Yeah, this is not a made-up story, so you can clip it. I'm going to share it with you.
We're going to clip
and
this.
And the guy came, and he never came back. That's the thing. He never came back after the test drive. I met him up right here in this parking lot.
A public place under video surveillance. PJ Ramamurthy thought he was doing everything right to be careful, meeting up with a stranger he met on an app to sell his bike.
And it was a custom, which means he just took the bike. Then I'm like, why would this guy do this? I have a Harley Davidson here. So then I called the police. Police come, the Harley Davidson was stolen. So I'm here, think about it. I'm young. This guy I mean, you have to flip so many bikes to be able to buy an $8,000 motorcycle at that age. Man, I was shattered. Imagine I mean, you crumble, man. At that time, that was everything for me, right? It boils my blood just thinking about it. That's, it was very emotional for me at that time. But long story short, police impounded his motorcycle, and I was left with nothing. And the police said, "I'm sorry, it's nothing we can do. Do you have anything on him? Do you know his name? Do you know his nothing?" But that's not the end of the story. But after almost 2 months, after me putting everything that I had into finding this bike, finding letters everywhere, going to every single motorcycle meets, literally, I'm talking staying on the side of the highway, on the busiest highway, just sitting there all day for weeks together, just drinking water and waiting there to see if this guy will pass by. That's the extent I went to finding my motorcycle.
Wow.
And eventually,
Wow.
I found the email I was talking to on OfferUp. This guy found me on OfferUp, and I found his IP address, located his location, and I emailed him from the OfferUp email. I said, "Hey, look, I know exactly where you live. I know you got family. I know you got kids. All I want is my motorcycle back. I don't care in what condition. You bring me my motorcycle back, I'm going to let it go. If you don't leave my motorcycle, just leave it in the parking lot closest to you. If not, the police are going to come into your house, take you away. Your kids are going to go to CPS, and you're going to go to jail. And if that's what you want, that's what's going to happen." And I even sent him, "And if you think I'm playing around, here's a geolocation of where you were at, because I've tracked your phone." But I didn't have his exact location at the time, but I had an approximate area from tracking the OfferUp's IP address.
Right,
from
right.
where
Yeah.
messages came in. But anyway, he fell for it. A week later, he parked the motorcycle somewhere, and
Good condition?
no, it was trashed. I still have photos of that too, which I can send it to you.
Oh, man.
It was a red, nice Honda CBR 1000RR, and he had spray painted it black, dropped. It was in terrible, terrible condition. But anyway, I ended up fixing it, putting all new fairings, and changed it to black color, and I'll send you pictures of that too, and making it brand new again. But
Oh, man.
lost a lot of money, but I was so happy to get the bike back.
Yeah.
But it's one of the craziest stories ever in my life.
Shows resilience.
Oh, man.
And the fact that you entered such a high risk business, a lot would argue, like not a car rental game. You got literally several $1 million worth of cars in your fleet,
Yep.
and you're trusting other people renting them.
Man, the stories I have in this rental business, I could write a novel.
Oh,
I could write
man.
an encyclopedia. Things happen on a daily basis, because at the end of the day, people that are renting, they're trying to have fun, which I respect. A lot of people have never owned these kind of cars. So for them, they don't even know how to use the car. They don't know how low it is sometimes. They don't know how, some people come in here and they rent the car. They say, "How do you start it?" They don't even know how to start the car. And that's the truth, and we have to explain and teach them. So obviously they're going to be reckless. It's fast cars. They're going to have fun. Wrecks happen all the time. And on top of that, there are people that all they do for a living is try to steal cars. And we have notorious stories of thefts and cars going into Mexico. We have stories of people smuggling illegals in our cars. We have stories of people smuggling drugs. We have people sending it to chop shops. We have people that just straight up steal the car and use it or personally use.
Oh my God.
I mean, the stories are endless.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, and I'll share you some of the craziest stories later, but
Yeah.
stories are endless on that.
Wow.
But it is very risky, but you got to take your risk. And that's why this business rewards. It's because it's high risk. Most people wouldn't survive a month in this car, because at the end of the day, you're giving you a personal car. It's getting trashed, it's getting beat up, it's getting smoked. You truly got to know what you're doing, and you got to have that heart, and you got to have the connections and experience to be able to deal with everything that this business brings on.
Yeah.
And you better have a strong soul, strong heart, man. This is not for the weak.
Yeah, man. You got to have the heart of a lion, right? Like
Absolutely.
Leo Zen.
Yes, sir.
But then also be Zen about it.
Yep.
I love that, man.
If you start going at everybody in a lion way, I mean, this business is gonna get you shot.
It can be destructive, right?
The thing is, you deal with a lot of different type of people, and at the end of the day, nobody's trying to hurt us or anything. They just want to make money. They want to steal cars. They want to, at the end of the day, so you got to understand their intentions, and you got to be smart about it. So like you said, you got to maintain your peace and handle everything the smart way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Speaking of some of these challenges, I mean, scaling from one car to 100 plus cars in less than 3 years is no small feat. How do you feel like, I mean, one, what do you feel like are some of the biggest challenges that you face? And then how do you feel like you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, originally just scaling, first of all, is not easy.
No.
Because banks are not going to be like, first of all, banks hate rental business. Any banks that you go with, say, hey, we don't want to give you an auto loan because you rent cars. And I'm like, yo, even when I was trying to buy my personal car, like fully spec'd out personal car, they're like, no, we're not, and then they see your income. What's your income verification? Income is, rental business. Unfortunately, we're going to have to die. So scaling was really hard in the first place. But that's where being patient came in. I didn't build this empire just overnight, right? The first years, I only had 10 cars. I bought it one at a time. Then obviously I got married, so I bought a few cars under my wife's name, a few cars under my name. Just slowly built it, one car at a time. And then you build relationship with your banks. And the banks, when you're, being good and you're making on-time payments and overtime, banks say, hey, here's another $50,000. Do you want to buy another car? I'm like, yes, let me go buy another car. And I literally just picked up one car at a time, one. So if you look at my journey, that for the longest time, if you look at the graph, it's like, it's very, very slow. And then when you hit 2 years and you build a good relationship with everybody and everything's consistent, it goes up exponentially. So comes down to doing good business. In this business, make sure you're never late on a car payment. You're keeping your credit on par every single time. Even with all these cars, my credit score is over 820. So
wow.
It's very important you maintain good credit. You're taking care of all that in order to be able to grow. And you're doing good business, taking care of people. If you do bad business, it's going to fall back so fast, right? At the end of the day, it's a high-risk business, a liability. People could die in a car, and people get injured, and all sorts of things. And luckily, I leveraged Turo. It's time to scale myself because Turo is a great platform. They're very well insured. They have a very solid team. You don't make exponential money like all these car rental companies in Houston do, but you can sleep at night because they have everything. They have a good system. You just have to follow their rules and grow that way.
Nice. That's awesome. It's great you've been able to use a existing platform like Turo.
Yeah.
Also scale your business.
Yes,
right?
You have to diversify because at that time, you're gonna build a name for yourself in the city. Then you start working with. I used to broker all the exotic car rental companies in Houston. So I used to broker all cars for them and make them money, and I would make peanuts of that. That's where I'm like, eventually I was like, hey, I need to get this car, which gave me experience of what cars I need because I knew I had clientele for that car.
Right.
Which is nice. But scaling was one of the hardest parts. And then once you start scaling and growing really fast, you don't want to grow too fast sometimes because then you get hit hard if you don't have a good system. For the longest time, I was the business. I'm talking 20, 25 cars. When I first started, even when I was doing IT as a software engineer, I was working for to take it back a little bit, what brought me to Houston was my software position. So I was working for Harris County Public Health to build their mobile apps, iOS and Android app. And when I finished the project, I was like, hey, let me go full time with my business. But even when I was working for them, I still remember my coworkers, dude, what are you doing here? You just came in a freaking Audi R8 to work. You come in an IA, you come in a G-Wagon Range Rover. What are you doing? And the crazy part is I worked so close to where I lived, I could walk to work. So then I was renting it out. So I would finish work, I'd go home, I'd wash the cars, keep it ready for the next day. Cars would go out, I would put it in the lockbox, and I'd go to work. So from that all the way to, I think, at least 20, 25 cars. It was just me.
Wow.
No employees, nothing. And obviously at the time, my wife was helping me, deliver cars and things like that. And if she wasn't available, then I would deliver a car and I would Uber back. So it was just me for the longest time.
Yeah, man.
Hand washing.
Wow.
I didn't want to waste money on car wash membership. I've hand washed every single one of my cars, day in, day out. I've cleaned people's bullshit in their cars that people leave, excuse my language. They'll smoke in the cars and I would have to clean it out. I've done everything that you can think of. I've seen it and I've dealt with it and I've done it. So I've got my hands very dirty, and that's how I know every aspect of this business. And that's how I'm able to keep my guys always on par.
Yeah.
Because I've personally done it. So I'm not asking them to do something I haven't done. I'm asking them to do something that I've perfected over time.
I love
and
that.
Everybody makes mistakes, but you got to be on top of it.
Yeah, 100%. And, my first impression of pulling up here was you built a great team, man. I saw guys hand washing cars. I saw other guys dealing with clients. Saw another guy vacuuming, and like another guy ran and rearranged the cars for our shoot. So how have you built such an awesome, committed team?
It's at the end of the day, it comes to taking care of the guys, and I give them a lot of freedom. My team's basically my second family. If I'm not home, I'm with my boys. And at the end of the day, for me, it's no color, no race, no gender. I'm colored myself.
Yeah, 100%.
And so for me, it's about work ethic. It's about true heart. If they have the heart, they care about me, they care about my business. That's the kind of people that I want to work with. I don't care, race, gender, all that doesn't matter to me. And I give them a lot of freedom. I never make them feel like employees. I work with them. I'll vacuum a car with them. I'll wash a car with them. I'll show them how it's done. And if things need to be, I'll step in and I'll help them out. And that's the difference between me and a lot of big level owners. The thing is, they don't really. Sometimes you got to step down on and be on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
That way people can relate and resonate with you.
100%. That's when people go through the walls for you. It's when they feel like you value them. And you see them as family.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's how, you got to take care of your people and be good to your team. Obviously it's all about money for everybody, but my guys, and it's not just about money. Money comes and goes, right? But even when we're slow, even when we're busy, they stick with me thick and thin. They get commission on cars because, they can broker my own cars, make their own money. A lot of my guys have started their own little companies to start branding on their own and bring in customers from the outside. So there's a lot of ways that they can make additional money, and some of them, make really good money. So
that's awesome, man.
And not having to own the warehouse, not having to own the cars and have those expenses.
That's huge.
So like I said, and also have overseas team like a virtual assistant. And they work on all the tiny little details, communications on the app, communication with customers and phone calls. So it is important. For the longest part, and even now, sometimes I struggle as I scale because, like I said, as you scale, it gets harder. And you have to have the right systems. And I've made so many mistakes, so many flaws that, the system's always growing, system's always learning, system's always being adjusted.
100%.
But if you don't have a system, you don't have a solid team, you cannot grow.
You can't scale.
I recently made a video on my Instagram. I was talking about how the biggest way to grow anything is to scale your business. And to scale your business, you got to have the right team, and you got to leverage other people and leverage. And just like I leverage my employees, I'm leveraging banks to get funding on the cars. I'm leveraging investors. I'm leveraging my credit too. So you got to leverage in order to be able to scale.
100%. To me, success is like a bunch of mountains, right? So you can climb one mountain, right? 1,000 feet altitude, you're on top. But then you got to climb the next mountain. That might be 5,000 feet elevation, right? And it's a new set of challenges. You might need a little bit more oxygen, different type of fuel, different clothing, different tools, right? And that's what it's been, for both of our businesses as we've scaled. New people coming in, there's a first lap team, second lap team. There's a team that'll run a marathon with you. There's good apples, bad apples, but you learn throughout the way, man.
Every time. I mean, even my employees, there's been so many times they made mistakes. I've had accidents with my own team. I've had to, sometimes they take it, use it for personal use and get an accident. I mean, there's so much involved, and you're learning every single day, and every scenario is different. And you just gotta be vested in whatever you're doing in order to take all that on it.
100%. So 25 cars onwards, what are the secrets to you scaling?
So again, even then, I leverage my family first. Like my own mom, she sees what I'm doing, she sees the passion. She saw I quit the job full time, and they helped me scale a few cars. And because sometimes the biggest thing is credit, right? So you do that, and then at the time you build good relationship with the banks, then banks see what you're doing. They see your revenue on 25 cars. They see the money coming in, and they say, you know what? Hey, here's 200K. Here's 300K. Here's $500,000. And then they start giving you money. That's just how it works. As you grow, people see you making money, and banks will start giving you money. At the end of the day, banking system on a whole is a whole nother loophole and a whole nother scam, I want to call it, but at the same time, blessing. Because at the end of the day, banks want you to fail. On your mortgage, they want you to lapse. So they forecloses, they make money. Cars, you miss your car payment, they take your car back, sell it to someone else, redo it over and over again. So the American dream, in a way, is set up for failure, but it's also set up for success. And it's up to you how you take upon that, right? A lot of people overdo things, overlive by their means, by buying the bigger house, buying, fancy watches and designer shoes and clothes, and buying the cars that they, you truly have to realize that the American dream lets you do all that. But then you're going to live paycheck to paycheck forever.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I underlived for the longest time. I still remember making $500,000 and not wanting to go to 5-star restaurants all the time. I would make sure I know what I'm eating. I never bought designer for years. Doesn't matter how much money I was making, because I told myself it doesn't give me any returns. Now over time you realize some things, like let's say a Rolex watch will give you value. It holds its value, and it puts you in rooms with right people to have the right conversations. And you have a Lamborghini, you pull up in a Lamborghini, and people say, hey, let me rent it. So buying these things will do good for you in different ways. So that's not what I'm talking about. But some people just want to flex and live for the Instagram, and live for the world, and to impress other people. That's not gonna cut it. No. Some people say, hey, I'm gonna spend all this money because this is the lifestyle I want to live. So I'm gonna overlive now, so that way I don't have a choice but to get there. That's a great mindset. But if you're over leveraging on the wrong places, then if you fail, then you have nothing. And I'm not saying don't be afraid to fail, but you want to be smart with your decisions.
Invest in the right
places. Leverage with investments. Don't over leverage with flex.
No.
Flex ain't gonna feed the bills.
No, it's not gonna feed the family.
When I graduated college, and my first job, $100,000, working in Dallas as a software engineer building mobile apps.
It's impressive.
I did oversell myself. But I had the experience because before I started my job, I was in network marketing, and that gave me the experience that the company needed apps built for network marketing companies. So I already knew everything about network marketing because I was one of the team leaders that managed people, over 400 people, teaching people stocks, Forex, crypto, and all that kind of stuff. And so when I started building apps, they were like, you have all this experience. Now all we need you to do is build these apps and cater to what they need, which was easy. So the first thing I did is not buy a car. First thing I did was buy my first house. And it was, I still have that house. I Airbnb it. And, I, at the time, built it brand new from scratch. It was a $500,000 house. And people were like, bro, you're dumb. You're over leveraging. And to be honest, I am over leveraging at the time. Kid out of college, literally the first year into your work, you're finally seeing money. And don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of different things before that. So it's not that first time I'm seeing money, but this is money as a software engineer, and you're doing this. The first thing I do is go buy a house. You have a mortgage, and people are like, even my own mom was like, are you sure you want to do this? I said, this is just what I want to do, you know? And crazy part is, literally, the week of my closing, I get laid off. Because my employer at the time was supposed to sponsor my visa. They also had a thing called a first-time home buyer bonus. They didn't want to pay the home buyer bonus. I'm not calling you guys out if you ever watch this, but that's the truth. That's what happened. They didn't want to pay for my sponsorship. They didn't want to pay for the bonus and attorney fees and all that to do it. Because again, I'm an immigrant. I was on student visa. And they didn't want to do it. They let me go, bro, a week from closing. And lenders verify your income days before closing, because that's how they make sure that they can secure their asset.
Right.
I was so freaking scared. So then I started making calls, applying. Thing is, I still remember the day I got fired, my mom was in tears. She's literally in tears because she knows I'm going to lose the house. She has experience in the world, right? She's like, there's no way you're going to get a job in a week, close it, sign the contract, start the job to show these guys that you have income. And it all has to match for them to show that you're making certain amount of income. And she was literally in tears. And you know what I did? That same day, I told Mom, get ready. There's something. She says, what's going on? I said, get ready. We're going out. We're going to celebrate. My mom's looking at me like, you're crazy. What are you doing? Like, she almost slapped me. She's like, are you going crazy? Why do you want to celebrate? You just got fired or laid off from your job. You know, this is not what I expect from you. And I told Mom, I said, Mom, good things fall apart so better things can fall in place. I can sit here and cry about what I lost or be grateful for what I know that I'm capable of, that something better is going to come in place. And we did. I still remember at that time, we went to Zena restaurant in Dallas. A lot of people in Dallas know Zena. It was on 75, and we loved their food. Got some fried rice, drunken noodles, all that good Thai food. But we celebrated, had a good time, and she was in tears. And I told Mom, something good's gonna come, Mom. Don't worry. Then I went home, and I got to work. I started applying. Instead of applying for Dallas and wanting to stay close to family, I applied nationwide. Apply. 3 days. Second day, I'm already doing interviews. Third day, I'm doing interviews, taking calls. And then the fourth day, I get a call from my previous interview, and they said, hey, we want to do the final round of interview with you. And I said, okay, but we need you to come to Vegas to do this final round. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And they said, hey, but you don't have any expense. We'll fly you out. We'll take care of your accommodation and this and that. And I said, done deal. The next day I was in Las Vegas, and I, had an interview with a company called Parler. And they're a social media app, kind of like Twitter, but they stand for free speech. And I met with the CEO. We had a good time, good conversation, and good interview. And they gave me a position.
Wow.
And I came back and closed the house. And then I owned the house, which was great news. But same week, I had to move back to Vegas to start my job.
Oh, man.
So I took my dogs. I had 2 dogs at a time, put them in the car. My dad was there. We drove to Vegas, and I lived in Vegas for almost a year.
Who was in the house?
So here's the cool part is I had my mom live in it.
That's beautiful.
So that was the best part for me, is like to know how deserving it was for her. And I was like, Mom, this is for you. I designed the room and all glittery and pretty, and
that's amazing.
Had a velvet, silver velvet bed for her. And I'm like, Mom, this is for you. It's your time to shine. Go enjoy. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about the payments, this and that. Then eventually she ended up moving to Houston with her husband, and I ended up renting out each room, and I was doing renting, and then I put it on Airbnb.
Solid.
So then the house started paying itself off, and in fact, having positive cash flow.
Amazing.
So
and you still have it
that
today?
house.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was doing Airbnb until just now, literally last month. My HOA and neighbors got involved, and they wanted to stop us from short-term rentals, and they passed an amendment. And amendment got passed through, so now I don't do Airbnb, but they want me to sell the house, but I'm not selling my house.
Yeah, they can't force you to do that.
So it's crazy how people tell you what to do with your own house.
Yeah,
but
it's not cool at all, man.
Yeah, but I still own the house now. I have a long-term renter, and I still own the house. And luckily, like I said, built it for $500,000. Till now it's been paying itself off, and at the same time, the property's more than double the value. About $500,000. It was more than double the value at the time with COVID and prices are fluctuating, but now it's almost double the value, which is still amazing.
That's amazing.
So
yeah.
that was like the best investment I'd ever made.
Wow.
Right out of college. Then when I finished that position in Vegas, and I got a position in Harris County Public Health. I said, hey, you want to come down? And I'm like, I thought I was going to be sneaky and say, hey, you know what, I'll come down. Because to me, that got me closer to Dallas.
Yeah.
That was my end goal, is to go back to Dallas.
back
I have
home.
my house there.
To the roots.
We have a restaurant. I have my house. I have my family.
Yeah.
My mom's house. She lives. I mean, so I'm like, Plano, Dallas is the goal. So then I said, I'll accept it because that's my position. Then I come here. I had the best time at Harris County Public Health. I had an amazing coworkers, my boss. And if you guys ever see this, love you guys, man. I had such a good time. I finished building their mobile app, iOS and Android app, and the project got done. And at the time, during that time, I met my wife. We ended up getting married.
Wow.
And, now we have 2 beautiful kids.
Amazing.
So, so that's basically what brought me to Houston. Houston was never home base, but then, like I said, I came here for work, and then I bought a few cars, started my rental business, then met my wife. Her family lives there. My mom ended up moving here, and Houston became home.
That's beautiful, man.
So,
wow. What a journey. What a journey, man. What a story. And so a lot of people say exotic car rental game is super hard. Do not get into it. I know you have stories for days, but I want you to share the number one craziest story that's also the most recent.
Man, stories. I have some crazy stories, but because we're sitting here and we have this beautiful black Lamborghini Urus sitting right behind us,
Sheesh.
I have a crazy story with this one, okay? So obviously I get a booking on Turo, and customer rents the car, and I personally met her. That's the crazy part, is I personally met this one, because usually I have my employees and they take care of all that, but I made sure, like with super high-end cars, sometimes if I had the time, I make sure I meet them. So I met her, got a little weird vibes of her, but I'm nobody to judge, so I let it be. I did what I'm supposed to do, follow to her procedure, take photos, upload the photos. She takes the car, and then when she's supposed to return it, she doesn't come back. And I'm messaging her, calling her, no response. She says, hey, somebody got the keys off of, somebody broke into the car or something, or, oh, no. The story she said was, she left the keys in the car running. She went to talk to her friend. Somebody hopped in and drove off. And the thing is, you get so many of these stories, and there's always a pattern. It's either, I was in a gas station, somebody hopped in and drove it off, or, my boyfriend got involved, my boyfriend's friend wanted to drive it, or we were shooting a music video and somebody took the car, or it's like, it's always boyfriend-girlfriend drama. And thing is, in this scenario, and she didn't have anything. And man, it was absolutely wild for me, because Turo only covers up to $200,000, and it's a $250,000 vehicle, which means anything over that, you lose. So I'm already freaking out, and I'm like, okay, what do we do? I post everywhere on Instagram. Luckily, I post everywhere, and so far we have nothing yet, And the craziest part is I'm looking everywhere, and guess what happens? I'm looking on Facebook for randomly, on Facebook Marketplace, I see this vehicle for sale for 25 grand or 15 grand or something like that. And I guarantee you I have a screenshot of that. I'm going to send it to you. And I was like, my heart dropped, So technically I'm supposed to leave it alone, but I'm not the person to leave it alone. So I set it up, and I'm like, with different accounts, and I'm like, hey, I'm interested to buy it, and do you have the title? And they're like, if you know, you know. And I'm like, you already know what that means, and they know what they're doing. So there are people that strictly buy stolen vehicles, because maybe they want it for parts, maybe they want the engine, maybe they send it to Mexico and for the cartel, or you don't know what the reason is. So I said, okay, let's meet, and then they were like, show proof of funds. So then I have to go to the bank, withdraw a bunch of money, and take a picture and a selfie and send it to them, saying, hey, look, I have the cash.
You sent the selfie, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not myself.
But one of your people, yeah.
I didn't send the selfie, but I was the one talking to them. I was the one
facilitating everything. Yeah.
I don't think we sent a selfie with the face.
Okay. Just of the money.
We just sent the money.
Yeah.
And I showed, look at the times right now, and here's the money. I'm serious. No questions asked. I need the car.
Yeah.
And I need the engine for my car, and just made this up. So then we set it up, and I called police to let them know what's happening, and I said it's a sting operation. So then police are alerted, and they wanted to meet in Galleria Mall, close to that, at a CVS. Then I pull up to the CVS ahead of time, and we're just waiting for the person to come. And we're like, what car are you in? He's like, hey, I'm in a blue Camaro. And we're sitting there and waiting for him. And then we're like, we see the guy, and we're like, where's the car? He's like, I'm not going to bring the car here. I want to make sure, we're not being followed. And I'm like, all right, so we can drive to the car. He said, well, you have to give me the money first. I'm not going to give you the money and not have the car. No way, And so then we're just waiting, and then he gets angsty, and he's ready to take off. And then I have the police on standby as well. And this dude gets a weird vibe that why we're taking so long to bring the money and follow him and this and that. And he takes off. And this on Westheimer, he takes off and goes into San Felipe, and he's hauling butt. He's going crazy. And I'm like, I'm not letting this guy go. So I'm like following him, and he's driving crazy.
What car are you in?
And I'm trying to remember. I think I was in my S550, if I'm not wrong. So I'm just trying to follow him. But this guy's driving illegal. He's going on the wrong side of the road, cutting people. I mean, he's trying to die, man. I mean,
damn.
I obviously am not going to drive like that. At the end of the day, if I do something and I don't want to kill somebody driving like that. So I lost him, but I still told the police which light. So I'm on the phone with the police the whole time. And they're like, hey, we're at this intersection. We don't see him. I said, well, he just took a left. And then they're like, I'm literally telling them straight up sting operation, bro. And we lose him. And that burned me like nothing. Then they removed the Facebook post. Then I try to find out everything about that car because I got the license plate. So then police ran the license plate. License plate comes to another old blue Camaro that they have. So this blue Camaro was probably stolen. And man, they're probably in a bunch of things themselves, obviously. And anyway, it didn't lead to a final place. So then we're still looking around, trying to find. Then I didn't find, I think 2 days go by. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna post out a rant. I'm like, hey, here's $5,000, whoever gives me a hint. Then people start sending me like random stuff to make money. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. Because, people are like, hey man, I saw this thing I'm going to give you a hint. Let me know where, I'll tell you where it is. Just send me a band.
Damn.
Like, and nothing. So, but I finally got one guy, and he told me that he like video called me on a number, and he said, hey, look, I know that I'll show you a picture that it went on a trailer out of Houston. I was like, no way. So I'm like, FaceTime me. And he FaceTime me, and he shows the wheels outside of the car. And I'm like, yeah, that's my car. There's no other car that I've seen in Houston that have this spec. And I know every single carbon company and most cars,
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my car. And obviously it's on a trailer getting out right now, Then, even then, he wanted $1,000 to give me more details. Send him money, and then he says, whatever it is, whoever this person is, they're in Sulphur Springs, and they have many cars, including a green Lamborghini. And I'm like, why is this person telling me that? I'm assuming somebody's related to somebody, and I don't know what the details are, but I think the buyer, some guy came and bought this car from these guys that stole it, and they're selling it. And that guy that bought it obviously knows what he's doing. And he takes it, and so now I have a little bit of hints. So then I, obviously don't want to give too much away because at the end of the day, they're all on social media. But what I'll tell you is I did a lot of research on the truck he was driving, which was a red truck and a green Lamborghini. And I found many cars, and I found out, this green Lamborghini is part of rallies. Then I looked up every single rally in America.
Wow.
Instagrams. I'm going through every single person that owns a green Lamborghini. I'm talking hours, nights, days of research. And after all that, I find one guy with a Lamborghini, happened to be in Sulphur Springs, also happened to have a green Lamborghini that's part of a rally. So I said, this has to be it. I told my wife the next day, I said, babe, I don't know if this is the guy that has her car, but I'm just going to go check it out. She's like, you're going to go all the way 5 hours from home because you think? I'm like, this is all I have. This is all I have for a $250,000 car. I got to go. And she's like, all right, be safe, Then I had a friend go with me, and we started driving all the way there. All this is on video, bro. Or like taking vlogs.
Wow.
We go there.
Wow.
And I'll send you some of the
You got to
stuff.
send me some of this, man. This is
I'll send you
epic.
some of the stuff is sick. And then we go there, and I'm like, and also I had many realtors do a lot of research for me on the name, on the car, on the plate. I had the plate run the police database, and I had to get so much information to find out many addresses this person owns. And luckily he posted on his Instagram of some of the houses that he lives in. So that's the house. It looked like, that was a big house on Google Maps. You can see it, and you look at the photos, you're like, okay, it could be that house. So I just made a judgment call and went there.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful big house, 2 or 3 story house. It had a nice 3-car garage. And then I have this video of me driving past it, because obviously I didn't want to be there, and have a video of it driving past it, and I see the red truck. And I'm like, holy crap, it's got to be somewhere here. And hey, man, if you're ever watching this, it's nothing about you. You bought a stolen vehicle, and at the end of the day, it's about our car. And we have investors, we got people to account for, and we have families too. So it's nothing personal.
Yeah, it's business.
But anyway, so I took a spare key with me. So we get there, and I'm driving by, and I'm like, I'm really hoping it's there, and I'm pressing unlock. And then his garage is one of those garages that have the glass on top. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, one of those
the
modern garage.
And I was like, so I pressed the unlock and lock button, and the lights go off.
Wow.
I was like, holy crap. There is no way. This is the craziest thing I've ever experienced for me.
That's the definition of obsession, though. You were obsessed with finding this car.
Really obsessed. And this is, I'm telling you 10% of everything that I've gone through to find this. But it was literally an obsession. And I couldn't sleep. People would be like, bro, you look like shit. But I was determined. I was like, I'm not letting this go. And I was focused. And again, I had no idea I was going to find it. All you know is the car could be in Mexico days ago.
Yeah.
Usually you have a 24 or 48 hour window, and if you're not there, the car's on a container, it's gone. And we've caught cars literally on the transport about to get shipped out.
Wow.
So anyway, obviously I can't just go in and So I called the cops. We wait for them. They come in. And they said, hey, you don't have a probable cause. We can't just And I'm like, press and unlock it. They're like, that's my car. And then I show the rental, and I show the police report. Obviously, they want to verify everything. They verify the police report that it's reported stolen and everything.
Awesome.
And when they found out all that is true, they went in, knocked on the door. All of a sudden, the thing is, when I drove by, there was people there. And by the time this happened, nobody was there. So I don't know what happened, where he went. He didn't open the door. And then the police had to contact the DA and get a subpoena to enter the property. And they entered the property through the side door of the garage. And then, boom, car was right there, bro. And the crazy part is I see the garage opening, and I see a sick lineup of cars. And I'm like, man, this guy's badass. I was... Man, even now, I hope he bought it unintentionally, not knowing. But I beg to differ, because the police found out all the cars were stolen. So there was another Corvette stolen. There was I don't remember. There was a C8 stolen, another Z06 stolen, and the Urus all stolen. Over $500,000 in cars stolen.
Damn.
Sitting there. They also found VIN numbers of VIN swap stickers, so that way he could swap the VINs to sell it. So I don't know what his true intentions were. I don't care.
You got your car back. That's all that matters.
Again, nothing personal. You do you, but we got the car back, and it was a success story for us. Car didn't have anything major. It had slight damage, curb damage, wheel and tires, things like that. And it was in one piece, and we brought it back, and that was. And the cop was like, "Hey, here's your key. You've given me everything I need, and you could drive it home." Because usually they have to impound it and do all that. Nope. All the rest of the cars got impounded. I drove it straight home.
Wow.
So, it was even for Turo, they talk about this story in their entire database.
Yeah, I know.
Because if we didn't find it, Turo would have had to pay over $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big chunk of money.
Yeah,
on
100%.
a car. And it's because I was consistent, and I didn't give up, and I had good people. Like I said, I always told you earlier, you got to take care of your people, and the city knows me, and I've never done anybody bad. Always take care of people, help them out with everything, and give them discounts, give them deals, give them cars. At the end of the day, I have more to give than take, because I'm like, what can I take from somebody? At the end of the day, I run a business. People damage my cars, I always get the short end of the stick anyway. So as long as you're doing good, good comes back to you, and the right people, the right stories lined up, and it was a success story for me. And unfortunately, there's unsuccessful stories. I have a Cadillac Escalade that's also. So the crazy part is, couple days, like literally 2-3 days after this gets stolen, my Escalade gets stolen. And this is not on a rental. It was just sitting on my apartment, and they just stole the Escalade. So, and we still don't have that recovered. So not all success story, but that one, we couldn't find anything because it wasn't a rental. We couldn't track it. It was gone.
The insurance.
Just took it at an apartment.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, insurance didn't want to cover the full. It's a whole story in itself.
Oh man.
But it's still currently stolen.
Gotcha.
So, but anyways,
you win some, you lose some.
Man.
Yeah, that's
crazy story. But
that's wild.
To everybody that's out there that's doing rentals or wanting to do a rental, make sure you have trackers in your cars. We had just bought the cars. We didn't even have trackers in the car. So that's another thing. We did have one, but they unplugged that. It's the first thing they do is tear up the car. They look for the trackers anyway, but you want to have multiple trackers and one inside, wireless one and a wired one, so that people can see that you have one or two, and they'll remove it and they won't find all of it. So it's important to protect your assets.
Yeah,
but
100%.
One of the craziest stories I've had.
Yeah, that's quite the story, man. Yeah. Well, that just shows your persistence and your dedication, brother.
Yep.
It got you what you wanted, which is your vehicle back rightfully, right? So,
man, I'll start a whole series with you and let people hear some of these badass.
I know, man, that's crazy.
Stories for days.
Yeah. While we're on the topic, for anyone, I always like to ask industry specific questions, right? So, I'm sure a lot of younger cats, maybe they bought their first exotic, or they have a couple exotics, or they're a broker, or they're looking to get into the exotic car rental game. Maybe they like cars. How would someone get started in the exotic car rental business? What's your advice for them?
Yeah, like I said, how I started, start one car at a time, and don't, go overboard and over leverage, and then you'll be stuck and you'll be behind, and then you'll lose it. Definitely contact me. I'm always willing to help. A lot of people tell me that, hey man, you should, do some courses or do something. Maybe I'm thinking about it, because I get so many DMs on a daily basis, and I've spent probably hundreds of hours, many times, just helping people.
That's amazing.
Help them, but at some point I gotta value my time, and people literally suggest me, man, I'll pay for it. And I'm like, man, it's cool. I don't want anything. But at some point, I'm thinking maybe I should.
Yeah.
I should. If I can give value, then it's okay take money.
100%. And we could film it right here.
Yeah.
You know, produce a course for you.
So maybe we can set that up and make it happen.
Yeah.
Where we set people up from the scratch and truly show them how to scale. And instead of just telling them like the bare minimum that they can find out from Googling or watching a YouTube video, that's not going to get them where
100%.
This business has so many little details, because you got to know how to work with customers. You got to know how to buy cars.
Yep.
You basically make money or lose money right when you buy. You got to know how to buy cars. You got to know when to get out and when to get in cars. You got to know, negotiating with the banks, with the interest rates. You got to know negotiating with lenders, with private money. You got to know how to deal with insurance. You got to know how to deal with adjusters. You got to know how to deal with body shops. You got to know how to deal with parts. You got to know how to deal with your mechanics.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into this that if you don't have your ducks in a row, that you're going to fail. And you can see many rental companies come and go. I've literally, in the past 3 years I've seen many companies come in front of me, and they've been burned.
Wow.
So there's only a few companies that I know in Houston that's still consistent and growing, or some of them are not growing, some of them are consistent where they are, which is still amazing because they're consistent and they're doing their thing, and they're around. And they don't want to grow because, for their own personal reasons. But many have come and go because it only takes one wrong move with one car, and you don't verify insurance, or you give it to a wrong customer and you lose $150,000 to $200,000 on a car, and it wipes your entire year out for some people. So it's very, very important to do the right way. So yeah, definitely, contact us and we can definitely help them out and take care of them.
Yeah.
But for anybody else, just get started, You learn one step at a time,
100%.
and you learn yourself. You won't learn until you do it.
Absolutely. Man, what a conversation, PJ. Based on everything we talked about, man, I would say you're quite the mogul yourself. So what do you...
Just getting started in this industry. And like I said, most businesses don't even make it the first 3 years. They don't even, some people don't even see profit, right?
No.
So for me, this is my not even third year yet. So to me, I'm just getting started. I have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And if you ever even think about working with me, this is your time now.
All right.
So just to give you what I'm working on, we just opened up this rental business to entire America. So I just started co-hosting. I used to never do that before, but I started co-hosting because now at some point banks are like, hey, this is how much we're going to give you. Hey, here's $2 million, $3 million, $5 million. At some point, they're not going to say, hey, here's $100 million, go buy cars, right? So then it takes time to grow and scale your business. So one of the best ways I've decided to scale my business now is by co-hosting, which means I'm literally taking an average person that thinking or idea about owning an exotic car or anything, and they're able to buy this car. I'm able to take it up on the fleet, do the whole process for them. They don't have to do anything unless they want to, but they're fully hands-off, fully passive. We manage it from start, from helping you from buying it to selling it to renting it to cleaning it to managing claims, maintenance, the whole 9 yards. And right now I'm doing it simple. I'm giving more than I should take. Everybody that does this does 60-40 or 50-50 because it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot you're doing, plus we have expenses. But what I'm offering right now to everybody is 70-30, which is insane because you get 70% of the earnings, I'm taking 30%. If you did this business yourself, you're going to have at least 30-40% expenses anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have payroll, you're going to have expenses, you're going to have to go spend Ubers, wash the cars, deliver the cars, and at the same time, you're not going to be able to make the money that I make you because of my experience.
Yeah.
So not only am I bringing you more money, and I'm only taking 30%, which means I'm really not taking anything because this money we would have never made anyway.
Yeah, no.
So, and on 30%, I'm paying employees, I'm running payroll, I'm paying for the warehouse, I'm running the whole thing.
All the logistics.
So basically, it's an amazing opportunity for anybody. I get people that ship cars nationwide from California all the way to Miami into my fleet in Houston, and sometimes I move cars around where I want to. And I'm in the process of opening up Austin and Dallas as well.
Okay.
And
wow.
Because, like I said, I want to take over Texas for now. with my personal cars. And like I said, I do have a relationship with many people across the board.
Yeah.
But we want to be we want Leo Zen in multiple cities as of
Yeah, 100%.
So we're starting Austin soon, and then Dallas. Dallas was home to me, so I'm excited to start Dallas as well. So we're just getting started, guys. So if you ever thought about even working with us, or if thought about thinking about rental, and just contact us and we'll take you to the next level. And the thing is, you buy a car today, I'll be making you money tomorrow.
Okay.
That's how fast things move in this business.
I think I'm going to take you up on it, man.
Absolutely.
You know, we've been talking about the McLaren GT, so, you know.
Hey, I want to make your vision a reality. So I'm excited to help you make this happen on your McLaren GT, where you get to drive it and use it for your business, your write-offs at the same time, and you make money and make it into an asset.
That's beautiful.
The second thing that we're working on is we just started mobile detailing.
Oh, yeah.
So we're able to offer mobile detailing anywhere in Houston and surrounding areas.
Okay.
It could be Katy, Cypress, Woodlands, Pearland, doesn't matter. Anywhere in Houston areas, we'll come to you at your doorstep and take care of your detailing needs. And we have very good experience. We have a solid team, and as you know, we already work on our own high-end cars. Besides ours, we've worked on, $1 million Sennas, SVJs, and SF90s, and you name it. So people trust us because we know we take care of their cars, and people trust me because they see what I build. So they'll say, hey, come wash my $1 million car. But it doesn't have to be that. We'll wash your, $20,000 car, detail it, whatever it needs to be done. But the point of me bringing that is we have that experience, so you could trust us. So I'm super excited for that. Like I said, if you guys need any mobile detailing, contact us and we'll come to you at your doorstep and take care of your detailing needs.
Absolutely, man. Wow. So I love how you...
I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. We have a lot of new cars coming in next week as well.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what you see right now is basically a start of a huge opportunity. I'm eventually planning to open up my own mechanic shop, my own body shop, and eventually grow and maybe even have a dealership one day. So once you're getting your feet wet in one thing with the cars, then it's easy to tackle on
branch out.
100%. You need the right team, and if you guys ever want to work with me on anything and you have ideas, you want to become partners, investors, let's talk. At the end of the day, we're here to make money, and we're here to help others make money.
100%, brother. 100%. I love that. We're definitely going to be doing some business together, man.
Awesome.
I love the empire that you built, man. I know this is only the beginning, even though it's been 3 years in. And the beautiful thing is you built the foundation for a global enterprise, right?
And gotta have the strongest foundation.
Yeah.
If not, everything will crumble.
100%, 100%. So, PJ, I have a question for you, man. What's your definition of a mogul?
Man, personally, to build something that you're passionate about, where you're taking care of somebody, at the end of the day, anything out there, any business, anything out there is always about a solution to a problem. Find people's problems and you find a solution to that problem and you scale it to the masses. You focus on the people, not the money. If you chase the money, you're always going to chase the money. You focus on the people and providing value, you're going to scale, you're going to grow, and you're going to make a difference in people's lives. For me, this is huge because I'm not only able to take care of all these peoples, and some of the stories like, little kids wanting to just sit in these cars and build their vision. But at the same time, I'm able to put food on the table for all my team and my employees. And I have my own mechanic, I have a body shop, and I'm able to feed a whole bunch of people. And that gives me a passion to say, I want to do this bigger. I want to grow this. I want, the more employees you have, that means the more bigger you're scaling, the bigger you're, that's how Facebook and, Jeff Bezos and everybody like Amazon and Mark Cuban and you name it, Mark Zuckerberg, all these guys built a huge empire because they're not thinking about themselves. What can I provide for people? How do I make this bigger? How can I provide a service? How can I help somebody? The second you start focusing on people, you're going to grow. Just like what you're doing with your business, you're able to put everything together for people to be able to do podcasts, content, media. You're providing a value to somebody. Somebody needs this, and they cannot do it without you, or they could, but you could able to do it faster. You have a team, you have an organization, you're able to help them scale, and you got to be consistent, and you got to figure out how to touch 1 million people. You know, you can make $1 million. $1 million is nothing in today's world. You can make a simple car freshener and have a $1 profit on the car freshener and get 1 million people, you made $1 million. It's not just about making $1 million. It's about touching the masses.
Yeah.
People over money any day.
People over profits.
You rather have rather have 100% of your own efforts or 1% of 100 people's efforts.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to become a mogul and go crazy and build an empire.
Awesome, man. Let's go crazy, man. Let's build this. Let's keep building our enterprises, our empires.
Absolutely. And I want to take a moment and say thank you for having me on your podcast. It's amazing to see what you're doing.
Man, what an episode, bro. Thank you so much for hopping on the
6 months
podcast.
from now, 1 year from now, see
for
where
everyone,
we're at and see where
I
your
highly encourage you
touch base and do a little recap.
Comment, subscribe, and most importantly, I gotta pull up PJ. All of these comments drop his Instagram right here below. Follow Leo's and Exotics, Leo's and Detailing. If you're in the Houston, Dallas, Austin area, you want to co-host your car, PJ is your guy. This is the definition of a true mogul, true business built on people and not just being after profits. Man, this is such a fulfilling episode of ours. Make sure to leave your comments and your thoughts below. Check out PJ, check out Leo's and Exotics, and I'm excited to do a part 2, see where we're at in a year from now. And thank you for welcoming me into Houston, brother.